been having a decent week. Um, we decided we want to do something different. We are still in kind of like an automotive news slump a little bit. So, Formula Drift season starts 30 days from today in Long Beach. And while I'm super into drifting and Jamal is super into drifting, who will be here any minute, Mike and none of these guys really fuck with it. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who at least think drifting's cool when they watch it.
I would
or
love
see
to
it.
drift. I'm just not a drifter. I
Yeah.
would love to be part of it if I had extra money to spare.
Mhm.
But
I think
I've never actually watched Formula D. Like the first time I actually watched Formula D was after you and Jamal talked about it, and I went and watched one of the live ones.
Yeah.
And it was fucking wild.
It's drag racing sideways. So like, yeah, the sport has evolved a lot over the last 15 or 20 years. As long as I think Formula D. I think the first season was like 05. So we're approaching 20 years or something, maybe longer already. And the sport has evolved a lot in terms of judging and in terms of like what the cars are and all that stuff.
2004.
Damn. Yeah.
Fast Facts with Timmy, 2004.
Hey!
Well done, sir. So they went from when the sport started 400 or 500 horsepower cars to now 4-figure horsepower cars and big factory backed racing teams and all that stuff. And that was part of what we were going to talk about. Is there was some off season shakeups. Adam LZ left the sport or stepped back, which was crazy because he last season was driving for Von Gittin Jr.'s professional team. Von no longer drives, and we'll get into all that. But yeah, we just want to kind of give everybody like a quick, this is what you need to know to watch drifting and understand what the fuck is happening and why it's happening. And also when you're not looking at it from the professional sense, like what is drifting in terms of a sport? Where like what's the correlation? Because you look at like track racing, right, and you're literally just beating yourself, right? You're trying to improve your own track times until you start doing like SCCA stuff and all that kinds of stuff. Actually I should keep streaming that thing and not stream and then close this thing. And look at us now. We're a real pod. And Jamal's here.
What's up?
So yeah, I was just you didn't miss much, dog, but I was just kind of rolling them through what the point of the episode was, which was just to try to create a jumping off point for folks who may be interested in the sport, or interested in drifting in general, but just having no fucking clue what's going on other than people are going sideways, right? So this is just kind of like a way to get people into that if they're interested, and then that way they have 30 days to kind of go back and watch old events and shit before the next season starts, as we are coming up on the next season of Formula Drift. And somebody, daddy's home in Formula Drift. I already know who's winning this season. I think you do too, Jay. But
are you talking about Pedro Pascal?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Pedro Pascal is daddy. Unequivocally. My man is straight fucking crushing it right now. But dude, you're in The Last of Us and Mando at the same time. Are you fucking kidding me right now, dude?
Right.
Guy is unfuckwittable, right? Where the fuck is Kyle? Kyle has some shit going on, Tom. More important than the podcast, believe it or not. So we had to go handle that, and we hope everything's working out for him.
Kosher.
Yeah, we hope everything's good with him. But
yeah.
Fucking, what's up with everybody, man? How's everybody did? Everybody doing? Everybody good?
Solid. Went to a beer fest in Old Sac on Saturday. Drank way too much fucking beer.
What do old guys' balls have to do with beers? Oh wait, never mind.
But
how many beers is way too many for you? Let's see how old you are.
Yeah, that's really what that is.
At least probably the 16 to 19 range.
That's pretty strong. That's a strong day of drinking.
But,
a lot of beers.
But
how long are you there?
4 hours.
So you went
That's
in.
a lot.
You were just fucking.
Yeah, we went
Yeah.
ham. So, but it's not like full, like, like an 18-ounce beer. So
No, you're
when you
drinking
walk
pints.
in,
You were just drinking the little 12-ounce.
not even. So you walk in and they give you like these little. It can't be more than 8 to 10 ounce little glass. And then literally you just walk through and they've got the whole street blocked off down in the Capitol. And there's little tents, and each booth has a pouring station. And you walk over and like, hey, I want to try your beer. And you've already paid. And so they literally just pour you a beer, and you walk to the next one, fucking drink the beer as you get there, and then fucking move to the next one.
So is it like varying alcohol levels? Like you had like your 5% and your
Sure it
12%?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you had, anything and everything you probably could think of was there, from stouts to IPAs to seltzers to, like even White Claw was there. They now have a mixed vodka drink, which
I've
I didn't
seen
know.
that. Yeah, they're like a
Didn't know
little
that.
more
Which
hardcore.
is pretty decent.
That's the real reason Mike went to Beer Fest.
Pretty decent. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
A White
But
Claw.
like working Saturdays, I've never got to go do something like that. So that was
Right.
cool. I got to go
Yeah.
do that. Had a badass photo shoot with Isaac. That's
Me too.
the 2 photos this man has sent me. Like, I'm like,
That guy's so good, dude.
I mean, I'll send it to the IG here.
That guy's so good at what he. Why is my like
Dude,
fucking
it's
see this shit?
disgusting how good he is at his shit.
He's
Like,
he's
it really is.
He's really good at his job. It's pretty wild. Shout out to the homie Isaac at Glitch GLYTCCH or some shit. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
I just sent to the RevMatch Pod.
my
guys,
boy
thank you.
takes sweet shots. Taking good.
Here in Sacramento, the band books up quickly on the weekend, so get at your
Really
boy.
If you ever wonder, and he does he's doing like he has his own detail spot now, doesn't he?
He's working for somebody.
Oh, is
yeah, doing like clear bra and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, he did a agate gray 992 911 GTS the other day.
Dude, that thing
With the,
was
like the clear tail lights, so
crazy.
like it kind of blends with the gray.
Hey, you know the interesting thing about Porsche is there's none of them in drifting. So anyway, moving on.
Okay, hold on. What about that guy
You didn't
with
do
like?
well, so
What about the
Yep,
guy
there
with
you
is
go.
it a 240 with the Cayenne turbo motor?
What?
There's a
Yes,
fucking there's a first gen Cayenne.
There
that
is a
drifts.
first. There is
No,
a
no,
first
no,
gen
no.
Cayenne that drifts.
There is that, but you guys sent it to us.
Click
It's
on my
like this
IG.
orange
Click on my
like
story.
240 or S15 or something with the old Cayenne
didn't
twin
send it
turbo
to you.
motor with dump tubes like thrown out the top. You would absolutely know the car if you saw the video of it.
So for whatever reason, this I cannot show those videos. But here's Isaac's story. He also takes a lot of photos of girls because,
Dude, his
Yeah, no,
his
because-
modeling pictures are fucking.
Yeah. So here's one. There you go. Damn, that's so fucking clean. He makes you look so much cooler than you are.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
Well, what's cool, is as a buddy, like him and I just bullshit the entire time, right? And
Yeah.
I never knew this, but like he does that on purpose, so then you're not trying to pose for a picture, and so he catches you in those candid moments of like you looking back at your car, or you're opening the door, or like that kind of shit. Like,
yeah.
there's a couple of photo shoots he's done for me that have caught those moments, which is always cool.
I mean, I remember when we did those night rollers like a million years ago, and he was just like so fucking down for whatever, like hanging his $1,500 camera out of the window of my car, like shooting photos
Yeah.
of your GTR, and I was like, "That's what's up, dog."
I think that was the lens was $1,500.
yeah. He had like a.
We should
Just
have
the
him on the
lens.
podcast.
We should have Isaac on the podcast.
Yeah, we do have a podcast.
So anyway,
He takes good photos.
he does take good photos. So let's get into it. What is drifting?
Give
It's
it.
drag racing sideways. No. Kind of. It's kind of evolved into that. It's a very fast sport. Basically drifting in general is it's not a timed event. It's not who comes in first.
No.
It's not who wins the race or who is in front. And like you used to get bonus points for passing if you were in the chase position or whatever, but realistically what it is.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop. Let's clarify it. What you are describing is competitive drifting. That is
Right.
like Formula D or something
Yes,
like that.
that's what we're talking about.
Drifting
It's
in and
not
of
that.
itself is not that.
Drifting is like skateboarding, right? Drifting is an
Yes.
expression of talent and creativity and your ability to manhandle your vehicle past the points of grip, right? So you're literally
Yes.
you're deliberately putting the car out of control and then controlling it, right? Introducing an oversteer condition as aggressively as you can, and then basically showing your skills by being able to keep it under control and chain a line together through a course, right? And without spinning out and all that other shit. And so when you go and you see like a grassroots drifting event, or you see like it's just an open track day, that's all people are doing. They're just going out, they're fucking around, they're having fun with their friends. You know, once the track officials can see to the point that, you know, you're competent, you can keep up speed, you're not hard braking the people behind you and fucking them up, because that's dangerous, right? Like if you're going into a corner and you realize you came in way too hot and you lock up and park it in the middle of the track, you can fuck over everybody behind you, right?
Mhm.
So they want to see that you can kind of hold a line down consistently. And then as long as your car is equipped with the right safety equipment, in a lot of situations, some courses will require like door bars, right? So nobody can drive into your door. Some of them don't. Those are a little more
That's
sketchy.
if you're done. That's if you're going to tandem.
That's what I'm saying. If you're doing tandems and shit like that, like they're
If you're just going to roll out there by yourself, they don't care.
yeah, 9 times, yeah, as long as
Convertibles have to have like a half cage, some sort
Mhm.
of rolling situation.
Which is-
most unibody
Okay,
cars,
but-
they don't care.
yeah,
But the whole purpose of drifting is, like you said, is to be in a uncontrolled slide that you are controlling, essentially, correct?
yeah.
Now,
Yes.
there's a bunch of different ways to do that, whether you have front wheel drive, rear wheel drive.
Mhm.
You can do it in all wheel drive, but it's not the best for the car, right? So preferably as a rear wheel drive car.
Not in any kind
Yeah.
of professional drifting setting, you are going to see nothing but rear wheel drive converted vehicles. And in Formula
Okay.
Drift, there's only so many ways that you can convert a rear wheel drive vehicle, because like you're not
What do you mean
allowed.
by convert?
So,
convert
like-
a car to rear wheel drive?
Yeah, exactly. So if
Yeah.
you look at
Okay.
if we look at Ryan Turk, and I'll bring it up, but Ryan Turk drives a new Corolla in Formula Drift, and it's rear wheel drive converted. It's the same engine,
What?
but it's converted the
Yeah.
other way. It's turboed, runs on nitrous, makes 1,000 horsepower, and they're changing engines like every 2 runs, like the fucking
Is
blows
it-
motorcycle.
Corolla?
Front motor motor?
No, no,
front
no, no.
motor or back motor? Back
No,
motor. But still back mounted.
it's still in the front. It's just rotated.
Front
It's
mount.
the new
But-
GR
No,
Corolla. though?
no. Well, now it is, but before it wasn't.
Yeah, now it's
So it was,
Was it a Corolla before?
yeah. So it was.
Yeah.
It's built by Papadakis Racing, which is, if you were ever dude, go look up Steph Papadakis. The dude did.
stuff. Yeah,
It sounds
He's like
Papadakis Racing. Just look it up. Yeah, he used to.
He's
work
like
for
the
AM. He
original
used to drive
fast-
for AM. He's
Yeah,
that guy.
he's the fast Honda dude. He's the fast drag Honda dude from back in the day. Like back
Okay.
in the day. Like
Okay.
9-second front wheel drive Honda is like back in the day.
Jesus.
Yeah. Right. So he has been into drifting in the scene as a basically as like a builder for years. He's built for Rockstar a lot, who Turk races for. He also built Frederick Osbo's A90 Supra, which is 1,200 horsepower Supra, manual converted. Oh no, sorry, sequential converted. That thing's fucking badass too. But yeah, if you look, where is that? So this is Turk's Corolla. Oh, that
Pull
one.
it
Oh
up. Keep it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, because in the retail world, that car comes as an all-wheel drive vehicle,
Yeah.
right? It's
No,
the
no.
only version it comes.
Well,
right?
so this is the thing though. This is now just a GR Corolla body kit on a race car that was already built. Right? So they just put new bumpers on
Pretty
it. But
much.
it was already wide bodied. It was already all that shit before years, but he's been racing this car for like 3-4 years, dude. Like,
Okay, so it's the same
Right.
chassis and drivetrain and everything, and he just put the new body style onto that.
but even the
vehicle.
engine is not the GR Yaris engine. It's the
Yeah, it's
standard
not the-
Corolla engine, bored out, stroked with a fucking fat ass turbo and
It's
nitrous strapped to
literally
it.
just a GR body kit.
Mhm.
It's little,
Yeah, on a
right.
purpose built
So
car.
so does he have a four-cylinder?
so good,
Four-cylinder
though.
big ass turbo?
4-cylinder
Okay.
big turbo nitrous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that thing looks sick.
but like the only way that you can rear wheel drive convert a car in Formula Drift is very strict. They have very strict regulations on you can't move the firewall at all.
Yeah.
You have to use all of the factory suspension hardpoints. You cannot create new ones. So right, so mounting a rear diff in a
Oh.
Corolla using factory hardpoints and making that all work, you have to have a lot of engineering know-how because these cars are set up in a fashion like we talked about. You're trying to go sideways on purpose, and these guys are doing it entry speeds of upwards of 100 miles an hour, right?
Right.
So you're going 100 miles an hour straight, and they said fuck it, right? And you're just going to go sideways and launch in. So the car has to be set up to handle that, right? Or it's just you're going to fucking kill yourself. Or you have to have a shitload of seat time, which you will see the crazy dude at the fucking Adams or Thunderhill or whatever with a S13 with a stock KA, and he's just driven
ripping the fuck out of it.
He'll come off the back, right? Come all the way around
sideways,
the initial.
Fucking
No.
sideways.
You'll see these dudes in these old shit boxes with 140 miles an hour, and they'll come from far as fuck away to get up to speed because it takes them that long, and they'll just come ripping around a bank and then fucking initiate at 100 miles an hour, and it's the craziest shit you've ever seen because it's like he can't keep this up. Like he's gonna lose all the speed the minute he initiates, but it's cool as fuck to see a dude just whip his ride, right? But so that's kind of the main thing about professional drifting is it's very organized in terms of what you can do, how you have to do it, how the cars have to be built, but it still leaves a lot of creativity because it's like you have to use factory suspension points. You can't move the firewall. It has to have headlights. You can only run so big of a tire depending on the weight and not even the power, but the weight of the vehicle. But other than that, you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want.
Everything in your car has to be sellable to the public.
Right. It's one of the other
have
interesting
any
so you can make like a
parts.
one-off. You can make a one-off like control arm or some bullshit like that. So it's got to be an
Street
off-the-shelf
tires.
part that you can go buy. Which I mean, you do see a ton of that, and I can't remember the company's name. I know it starts with a G. They're becoming really popular in drifting with like they have to sell like a whole control arm set for your whole car, right?
Well, there's
it gives you all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Wise
of different. WiseFab's one of the bigger
No.
ones.
No,
There's
it's
SPC Parts does a lot of shit.
E-Tech?
Unit. G-Tech, yeah.
Thank you.
G-Tech does a bunch of shit.
G-Tech,
They do a bunch of
yeah.
shit for S chassis and stuff. But WiseFab is one of the bigger kits you'll see on like production level cars, professional level cars. And SPC does a lot of shit for like BMWs, like E36s, E46s, that kind of shit. They're like the alternative to WiseFab for those chassis. Some teams, you can make some suspension components, like you can make some control arms on your own. Like Justin Pollock famously basically makes everything on his fucking car that he can. Aside from $40 core supports, he doesn't run a front bash bar. He runs the factory $40 plastic core support because he's like, it's $40. I'll just go buy another one.
No shit. Okay.
Like,
Yeah, for $40.
But most of the car has to be readily available, and again, they don't run proprietary.
So that's how Justin Pollock got around that. Was he started White Line so that he could make his own parts for
and
his
then
Mustang
sell him
instead of using the shit that they were using for Von Gitten's cars. He was like, "No, I'm just going to build the car for myself." And they're like, "Oh, well, the rules say you can't make your own shit." And he's like, "Oh, I'll sell it. Like I sell it too."
That's great.
So
that's fucking smart as shit.
That's where
Actually,
White Line came from.
No, not White Line, Hotline. You're thinking of Hotline, not White Line. White Line Performance. Is it?
Yeah, White Line suspension.
White Line. That's an Australian company. Give me 1 second. I have to look this up. Because White Line's in Australia. Yeah, because I had White Line parts on my STI. Give me 1 second.
I
had White Line parts too.
I'm
Are you sure it's not Hotline?
From there.
Are you sure it's not Hotline, dude? This is gonna fuck me up, Jamal.
That Hotline playing.
I know when. Yeah, Hotline. It is Hotline.
Now I gotta fucking find this YouTube.
Hotline, White Line.
Yeah. Almost.
Line. You guys want to do some lines?
Wow.
Hotline, yeah.
What?
Hotline Performance.
Because he used to do shit for RX-7s, remember? Because he had FCs and FDs before he switched.
That's what he started with. Was it RX-7?
Yeah, and there's a lot of really funny old stories about like when the community was really small back in the day, right? So you could go to a local shop to buy parts for your car, and somebody there like worked on a drift team during the season, right? So like one of the shops we used to go to was this shop 9K, and that shop had its own fucking shit going on. But one of the techs there was this dude, Battlecat, who you can still find on the internet as Battlecat, and he had a sick ass wide body FD back in the day with like a V mount, and this is like 2006. But he used to talk shit about JTP all the time. He's like, this guy didn't pay me, but that's just cars, right? That's just, you find that in like any drag racing is the same way, right? There's like beef in between shops or whatever. But yeah, and those are guys that have been in the sport for a long time. Justin Pollock, Vaughn Gittin Jr., Chelsea DeNofa has been around for a while. And then you have Ryan Turk, who's been there forever. But then you also have guys like Chris Forsberg, who's based, like, these guys have been in the sport since it started in the States, and they're still competing. Forsberg now drives the New Z, makes 1,400 fucking horsepower or some stupid shit, right? So that's like I said, that's how the sport's evolved.
So, other than you got to use body mounted chassis or the body points, you can't move the firewall. The parts you have to be able to buy off the shelf. Like motor wise, there's no restrictions. Like you can just go fucking full tilt, put a NASCAR motor in that bitch if you really wanted
they do it all the
to,
time.
and let it just fucking ride.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, Tanner Faust ran a NASCAR powered
Justin
V8.
Pollock, not Justin Pollock. God, Steph Papadakis did that before.
Yeah, so they
with
put a
a
NASCAR,
Scion.
Scion TC with a NASCAR truck motor V8 in it. And there's
What
still
the fuck?
Converted it to rear wheel drive.
the thing was sick as fuck. And if you ever want to see some shit, there's a 4.5 minute video of Tanner Faust drifting all of Mulholland in that car. It's sick as fuck, and it's like 10 years old, and he fucking shreds it.
Yeah.
But you look at even things like the
But they've been doing that forever. Like Team Orange back in the day used to drive. The whole team had Subarus, and they converted the whole group to rear wheel drive.
and they were tight. They were sick as fuck.
Yeah.
And there is, there's some difference between Japanese drifting and American drifting, and we'll get to that in a second. But how does one win?
Yeah, like I don't know. I've never understood. I know there's the whole transitions. You kind of put like
aren't there
combos
like
together,
4
right?
different
So
criteria?
this is the thing. This is the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody actually knows.
He's not wrong.
Nobody
He's not wrong.
100% can tell you whether this is it or this is it.
Other than the three
Like,
judges, nobody. Yeah.
Alex has been to events with me, and we've like sat there and watched the event, watched the lead and the tandem from these two drivers, and everybody, 1,000 people sitting around us, however many people can sit at Irvindale or Long Beach, all think the same guy won. And then you look at the judges board, and they all slide, and you're like, "Wait, what?" Like you'll hear a whole stadium just boo all of a sudden, like boo. And they'll get on the mic and try to explain themselves, and nobody gives a fuck. It's like, dude, that was
Full of shit.
we
So-
know what's going on here.
Yeah, so it is a judged event, and I think that is the part that puts a lot of people off to it, is because nobody wins objectively unless one person sucks and the other one doesn't, right? And you do have those runs where it's like that guy fucking smoked the other dude, right? And that's the end.
Yeah.
Of it. But it's a subjectively judged sport, and they do judge on criteria, and that criteria has changed over the years. It has not always been the same thing.
That criteria changes from event to event.
It's true story, and that is
round to round.
Wait,
You see
yeah,
it change.
literally chase run to lead run that changes sometimes. So
Yeah.
again, it's super subjective, but so like when it's first started in the US, it was initiation speed, angle, and tire smoke. Okay.
So how fast you went into a
I'm
corner?
talking like
how much-
2005, 2006. I'm talking a billion years ago. Like
No. Tire smoke wasn't a big deal back then. Because
It was-
everybody was running like 8.6s and stock ass 240s. Nobody was making tires.
They were, and I'll tell you why. I know why.
They have fucking front clipping points on shit that's like rear clips now.
Yeah,
Like,
so
Long Beach used to be a front clip.
it was tire smoke specifically because the cars were so underpowered, and that rule changed when Daigo Sato showed up. Because Daigo Sato raced D1 GP, which is Japanese drifting, right? Japanese professional drifting champion, read the rule book of FD, showed up with a 1,400 horsepower LC or SC 460.
Oh, I remember you telling us this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the Lexus.
when everybody else was making 700 horsepower, and he just geared the thing to destroy the tires in third gear. Right, so you literally couldn't see shit when he was on the track because he's just
That's
fucking
fucking smart.
smoking everybody out.
Smart as fuck, dude. Play the rule book.
and it is a motorsport, just like anything else. There's always dudes trying to. Dude,
if you're not trying to cheat, you're not trying to win.
Dude, Mad Mike Woodette glued his fucking tires to his rims. You know what I mean? Like you had dudes.
It doesn't say that you can't do it. I'm just saying.
So it does, and that was that was the thing about it. There are some actually. There's minimum weight requirements, and there's things you can't do. But so now, to Jamal's point, the judging criteria has become really kind of convoluted now. They try to say it's still like 3 or 4 things.
So wait, back a bit. So it was tire smoke, entry speed, and then
angle.
Tire angle, right?
No. Car angle.
Oh, car angle. Okay.
Relative to the apex of the corner, right? So you're shooting for like 70 to 95 degrees of angle, relative to the apex of the corner as you're going through it. You want to be sideways as fuck. And that's why you'll see dudes do reverse entries on initial clips, which is literally sending the ass of the car first into the corner. Yeah. But that takes an immense amount of skill. The car has to be set up to it for a degree, and you need a fuckload of power, generally speaking, because you're going to throw the car backward and you're just mashing it.
Put your foot down, yeah,
trying to get it to catch it at the right time to pull it out.
But like, what to be like high gear to gain the traction back to go, or
no? Because you got to downshift, right? Like that's the thing, is that once it catches, you'd have to downshift again. So you're just doing it in like
you gear it based off of your driving preferences, really,
right? And a lot of these guys are running
your grip is all from your suspension setup.
Yeah, like if you look at like a drift car rear suspension, it droops like a trophy truck. Like they're super soft. They hang down because you want the rear wheels on the ground all the time, right? So like they're very interesting the way they're set up. Ton of negative camber, ton of positive caster, so the wheels self-center, right? And that leads to that's why you see the front wheels looking super pushed out, because they run these extended control arms and all this other shit, so that when you turn the wheels, they don't collide with anything. And you'll see dudes where like their wheels look, this is a terrible, like whatever, but you're getting just these ridiculous amounts of fucking steering angle.
Well, you also do that because it gives you a pendulum effect, so it's harder to spin out.
Yeah, it's weird how much
when your front is wider than your rear is set up to grip at all times, you can throw in more angle, because since your front's wider, you have a pendulum more as opposed to like a
it just keeps it keeps that steering stability, right? Because that wide front track is you're stabilizing off the front end, not off the rear end, right? So the car is you're still steering the car in a traditional sense. And I think this is the thing that fucks up a lot of people about drifting, is that once the car is set on angle, yes, you've counter steered, but now from whatever point that you set that wheel, right? Even if it's like all fucked up, you're still steering the same way. If it's a left turn, I'm still turning left, right? But I've set the car weird and grabbed it where I want it, and now I'm adjusting it to round that corner, but I'm still turning like I would normally turn a car. I mean, not exactly, because you don't, whatever.
Not exactly, but in the same direction.
Yeah, you still have to maneuver the car the same way. So like, I think people think that you're steering with the ass of the car, and to some degree you are, because you need that to maintain the angle relative to the apex, but you're still steering with the front end of the car. You know what I mean? You're using that power to get it a lot more to like transition back and forth than you are to like steer the car through the corner, right? Once you're moving from corner to corner, it's kind of like a different situation. But so we've established it's a judged event, right? And what is the main shit they're judging now? I don't even pay attention anymore. So it's proximity, right?
Um,
I'm gonna look it up because I don't even know anymore. This is how out of touch we are.
I looked it up earlier today, but I didn't, since none of the rules really changed. I didn't really pay attention to the rules, but it's something goofy that they're. You know what? Like when we came up with that idea years ago of how they should really judge the sport, if they're going to judge it, they should really do it. Since they don't do that, I don't really pay attention anymore.
Yeah, I wrote a long.
I just wait.
I wrote
just wait to see who won. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote a really long dissertation on like how I thought Formula Drift events should be run, and it was long. Super long, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck. I was like, they should do Gymkhana to establish qualifying and like all this other shit.
That would be so funny.
I wasn't part of it. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I know.
I just remember when we were talking about we should judge it, and it was just like, oh yeah, that is like perfect and
Prospect, there's
Just
a
like,
tech.
yeah, but they're not gonna do that. So
No, they won't because it doesn't make any money. What
Yeah.
are there's the penalties, there's a rule book, they don't even show on the website. Oh yeah,
yeah,
like okay. Oh, there's an FD 101
you
section and
can
it doesn't
download
work.
it.
Nice.
They don't have one. So again, they don't know what the rules are. But I believe what it was before is it was they don't want you making corrections, right? They want your proximity correct to the clipping points, which are the apexes, and now they do 2 outsides and an inside per every round, right?
I don't really know. So all they really care about is your proximity, your smoothness. Like you said, they don't want any correctness, so they want you going as fast as you possibly can. They have designated braking zones, so you can only slow down in certain areas. And that's really it. Like,
Yeah. So you want to be. So when they're doing qualifying, right, they'll usually set a minimum entry speed that they want you to hit, right? Whether it's 80 miles an hour or 85 or whatever. They're like, this is kind of where we want you guys to be starting. They'll tell you where you're supposed to put the ass of the car, and those are the clipping ports, outside or inner, right? So it'll be like the outside apex, like get your ass as close to this point as you can as you come around this corner, and then usually there's one front clip, which means you got to get the front of the car as close to that as you can, and that's how those score your qualifying run, right? Whoever has the closest qualifying run to perfect in a scale of 0 to 100, they seed the brackets, the top 32, right? So number one guy goes against the worst guy. For a long time, there wasn't 32 drivers in the field, so like the first 3 seeded drivers would get a bye run. So they just
okay, so that's a rule that's changed.
have they
This
gotten rid of
year, there's no more 37 driver cap. So it's going back to how it was in the like old days, where it's like if your car passes tech, you can show up and try to get in the event.
Yeah.
So there's like they want to put more emphasis on like qualifying, because when there's a 37 car cap and only 32 people can make it to the show, like dudes would run one good qualifying run and be like, all right, I got 85, okay, that puts me in, and they just go back to the pits for the next 3 like qualifying runs. Yeah, and people pay to go to qualifier, and so it's like, all right, well,
That sucks. Yeah.
some of the drivers that I wanted to see already like got decent enough scores that they're in the show, so they're just like they dipped off for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
And I think that was
So now there's like, hey, you can show up, so you're gonna get guys that are like, you're gonna start seeing like the part-time drift guys again in pros, I hope, where you have guys that like just show up to the California or the West Coast events, or guys that just show up like they may be running pro-ams or whatever, and they're Texas or Florida or whatnot, and then it's like, oh, there's a Formula D event. It's open to whoever's car passes.
Trying to get in, right? Trying to qualify.
Let me see if I can pick up some sponsors. Have a good weekend. Like you start seeing that, and that's where like dudes like Bubba Drift from back in the day. Dude used to drive a El Camino in Formula D.
He had a crescent wrench for a handbrake.
That's gangster as fuck.
He showed. They were at Road Atlanta, and he just showed up. He was like, all right, I'm gonna change my drag setup to like this, and here we go.
Everybody used to hate the guy because he was so fucking slow. So he's like impossible to follow because nobody else could drift that slow. Like keep it right.
That thing was wobbly. It wasn't like it wasn't on like lowered or anything like that.
I mean, it was an El Camino, whatever. But so a couple of years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago, they introduced like there was like pro-am drifting or whatever, but Formula D like went out and they did a thing of like where you have multiple brackets now. So there's pro-am, there's pro 2, and then there's pro 1, which is like the show, right? That's professional drifting.
Well, now they just call it pro spec, and then everything else is licensing series.
Oh, pro
they don't
spec
even call
is
it
pro
pro-am.
2. It's pro spec.
Pro spec is pro. It was pro 2 years ago. Now it's called pro spec.
Okay.
Pro 1 is just called pro, and then everything else like the pro-ams are just licensing series.
Yes.
Quick question in all of this, and I know you're going to get to this point with Adam LZ. Where does Adam LZ, like, as far as like, was he at the top level of drifting, or at least in the competition? Not in his driving skills. What I meant in like the league that he was in.
Yes, he was competing at the top. Yeah, the last seasons he was competing at the top level of drifting.
He couldn't go.
But that was purely no. Adamozzi was
his story,
at the top
I've heard
level
his
of
story.
his league purely because he had the best car in the league. That
So-
is purely the only reason.
But
Like,
more so, what
you're
I was
running,
asking was,
He
Are
was
we
running
at
in
a pro
pro.
level
He,
are we
car.
at MLB versus AAA? Are we
Exactly.
at MLB at that point?
yeah,
Right,
he's
because
MLB. Yep.
he can't go
He's
further
taking
than where he
steroids,
was
and
at.
everybody else out
Yeah.
there is eating that up.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, so he
was
took
fucking
he
juicing.
took an interesting route, and I'll get to that. But what I really wanted to touch on was we've talked about the judging before we get into all the drama and all the other shit, because that's what honestly really makes the sport interesting, is all the shit that happens on the side too. But is how is it a competition between two drivers, right? So everybody does their qualifying runs, everybody gets seated, and then when it actually comes time for competition.
Yeah, I've never understood the whole tandem.
So it's set up
thing.
like old school toge, right? So in toge,
Here, I'll explain it because I'm gonna make it quick. The lead driver has to pretty much run like he's out there by himself. He has to do another qualifying run.
Which would make sense.
Chase driver has to stick to him pretty much. You stay as close to him as you can. You mimic his angle, his speed, and his line. If he runs a bad line, if you guys are going towards like an outside clipping zone
and
he's not that deep in the zone, you can go deeper and like scrub like some angle or something and make up those points because he like kind of chickened out and didn't get close to the wall, which is what everybody really wants to see.
Yeah, is running the wall. And so basically every round of competition is a lead run and a chase run, right? And so basically what will happen is they will decide who won each of those runs, and this is where it gets really fucky, right? Because you have 2 runs to decide who won, best 2 out of 3. But you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like a fucky situation. So unless one person is clearly dominant, it's completely subjective from that point forward based on the criteria that they're using. The out for this
they're doing it, their like explanation is that we are judging lead versus lead and chase versus chase,
right? So who had the best lead run, who had the best chase run, who had the best...
I mean, but I could see that though, because if someone didn't chase very well,
that's not really what they're doing, but that's what they claim they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see somebody chasing well, like there's a driver. I'm not gonna spoiler a later part of our show, possibly. Okay, no, I won't even say this guy. Chris Forsberg is known for this. When he chases very shallow so that he can stay really close to you and get a lot of angle, and it looks like he's just like riding your ass, but he rides the middle of the track the whole time.
He's got a shit line when he's chasing, but he's so close.
He's got a shit line.
He's
that
so,
it looks cool, but to like guys who have been watching drifting for a long time, we're all like, that's kind of fuck shit. Like this is when you hear people booing the judges because they're like, dude, like you just told the last guy that he took a shallow line to chase, but now Chris Forsberg is going through to the next round.
So that like if you straighten out, right? Like if your car straightens out, even if you're catching up or whatever, if your car straightens out too much, that's negative on you. Your car is supposed to be fucking sideways. If you're catching up to somebody, you better be sideways while you're doing it, right? Like you got to be hammering it, really putting it in, which is like going back to Tanner Faust. That was always his thing. He always had one of the fastest cars on the track, always, because he had a ton of money. He had a Palpadakis car with a Rockstar funding and all this other shit. So he would give dudes a bunch of rope off the beginning of the run. Like there's old runs of Irwindale, and Irwindale starts with a bank, like literally running 3/4 of a bank all the way around. And he would let dudes be like 6-7 car lengths in front of him. And he'd just fucking hammer it and just reel them in. And by the time you come back around that bank to the transition point, he's door to door with the guy in front of him. Which looks sick as shit, right? Because you're chasing this dude down sideways at a bank at like 90 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? And by the time you go to make the super sketchy, Irwindale goes, it's basically you come off of the bank. Once it straightens, there's a transition point. So you go from that to swinging the car the other direction for like 300 yards, maybe, probably less, probably 300, 400 feet, honestly. You're still going fast.
It's just really quick.
Yeah, you're going fast as fuck still. You're probably still carrying 80 miles an hour speed, 80, 90 miles an hour speed. And then you have to chuck it back the other way, going ass first into a wall, which is another bank that then comes around. It's the infield bank, right? then comes around, and then you have a final transition back out. So you go from sketchy riding a wall on a fucking embankment, chuck it back at 90 miles an hour, snatch it back the other direction, putting your ass into a wall, and then going out and around. So when you're doing that and you're reeling somebody in, you look like a fucking savage, right?
Yeah.
Did Ryan, or is it Tanner Faust or Ryan Turk, who had the 86 with the 458 motor in it?
Oh, that was Turk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that car is
not the red one. The red one.
No, that car is not legal.
The red one? No, that's just a street car.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
not
legal.
that was the demo
That thing
car.
was built into the firewall.
That was
that thing has a modified firewall. It's got way too much other shit going on to be competition legal. Plus, you don't really want to be
sick.
You don't really be running a Ferrari engine in a drift competition, bro. We'd be blowing
What do you mean?
motors.
It would blow up in like 1,000 miles. It's fine,
bro.
The first run,
bro. Listen, there's one
first run. It's a Ferrari.
What's the guy's name that's in Formula D with the Ferrari right now?
Yeah, Federico. He's got an 8 something.
His first year.
Yeah, I'm gonna look the car up.
His first year. He's going to Long Beach. That's round 1. So his first year, I am literally walking across the bridge to get in to the event. And when you walk over the bridge, you walk past the start-finish line, and you can see them take off and go initiate.
Yep.
So I'm watching him, and everybody stands. It's like, oh, the Ferrari's about to go. So we watch. He starts off, and it's his first run in Formula D, and he's the chase car. And I don't know, his car, like, he initiated and it just straightened out and went straight forward into the tire wall, and then there was a fire, and it was what is going on? So the crazy part about it was it was raining, and it was like, how are you catching on fire in the rain? Like, what is wrong with your car? You have a Ferrari.
Yeah, so he drifts a 599. Here's the car, right? So this is the car in question. Here's the sound.
Okay, but what's up with his caption? Because it's not. I mean.
Just listen to the way it sounds. It's a twin supercharged 599.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari banging off the fucking limiter.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the car is amazing. The dude's never been competitive, but the car is fucking sick, right?
So when it works, it's nice to see.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work.
Nah.
But yeah, so that's kind of always been the thing about the sport, is like the run what you brung thing is really fucking cool because you see a bunch of wild shit like that. What the fuck were we talking about? We were talking about rules, and then my brain.
No, but I mean, that kind of like brings you into your next segment, right? So you understand the rules, you understand the judging. Now it's fucking open game and open season, kind of like what you're saying. Like now they're bringing back, hey, if you can qualify, if your car meets spec, bring and run whatever you want. So
as long as you have a license, to be fair.
Right. So are you going to see now? I mean, you have the guys like Adam Elzy who got in the sport, and I've heard of the story. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos. He basically got in because of his YouTube and popularity.
So
and COVID.
Yeah. So
they needed someone to elevate the sport, which
he brought a lot of influence. We did. Oh, wait, real quick, but we missed one final part of like how the scoring goes before we get into all the other shit.
Okay.
In the event that they cannot determine who is the winner after the lead run and the chase runs rotate, there is something called one more time, which is basically we don't know, do it again.
Yeah.
Straight up. We don't know.
That's that 3, bitch. Let's go.
Yeah, no, and they do the whole thing. They do the lead and the chase all over again. The whole thing.
Twice or once?
Or sometimes.
Well, no, I guess if you lead and chase, you have to do it twice at least.
Yeah.
I've been to events where they've done like 3 or 4 one more time.
On the same one, because it's like the champion. It's like the championship. Yeah, it's just like you would literally have whoever wins this battle. And we're talking, this is before Final Four for the event, because it's just like F1. You can be 2 races before the end of the season and know that if I win this race, we won drivers championship, right? There's nobody can beat us.
Right.
The same thing happens in drifting. So you'd be in fucking Irwindale, which is always the last round of every season, and it is fucking wild every single year. I've never been to a boring Irwindale, and you will see if it's like Osbo and Turk, and like one of these dudes is gonna win. They, to the judges' credit, 9 times out of 10, they will make them run it until it is no doubt, right? Like this dude fucking won.
Somebody's car needs to pop.
And it does turn into like attrition like that. That's what's crazy. It's like you'll literally end up, some dude will lose because his car blows up.
I mean, you got to give them credit to that, though. I mean, but also that goes to show their skill. That goes to show their skill, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are that close, and how good of a physical driver. Which, let's be honest, probably 98% of the popularity on the planet Earth can't do in the form that you're doing it in.
Not to that level.
No, fuck no. And like
it's just like basketball. Anybody can go fucking play basketball. Not everybody can go play in the NBA, right? Like
correct.
you do have
I'm
to
not
have.
Be LeBron James making $42 million a year.
There's levels to things.
God damn.
What did you say, Jamal?
I said, yeah, there's levels to things.
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
But so that is basically what you need to know to go watch drifting and understand what is happening as you're watching it, right? That's how the sport works. Now, what's the fucking cheese, mate, Holmes? What's the shit that's going down in the back? And we'll wait for Mike to get here before we go into Adam LZ because he seems very interested to talk about Adam LZ. But
I'm interested too because I don't know the story, but I'm gonna go get another beer.
Yeah. So the whites have left the minorities unattended. Historically, this does not go well for them.
This is when they lose shit.
This is when they lose shit. This is when we be stealing shit.
Oh man.
Oh, Mike left his social security number out.
Let me hack his shit real quick.
Dog.
Oh man.
I wanted to. Did you get a chance to watch? So FD has a podcast now, I guess. And
yeah, I know.
Did you
That's
watch
all
the
on my show notes, dude. I have like 2 pages worth of show notes.
Did you watch Matt Fields' episode? Because I was actually really interested to see what he said about the whole
I haven't watched any of it yet. I just found out. I was like, oh, okay, so they have a show.
Yeah, there's an episode
he watched.
Yeah, there's an episode they did with Field,
like
talking about finding out about Falcon. So getting into
leaving.
Yeah, so getting into the cheese man of the sport, Falcon Tire has been a part of Formula D literally since 2004. When the sport started in the States, and they are no longer a sponsor this season. They had one of the biggest and most dominant teams on the grid because they had 6 or 7 different cars like every single year. All the teams are individual, right? They all run their Falcon's their main sponsor. They run the livery, they run the tires, but all these teams are managed individually. A lot of these guys build their own cars, right? Like JTP built his own car.
No.
Yeah, they're all different cars. So I can always remember the Falcon. Like, what is it?
For a while, Falcon was
the
running
blue to the green fucking spec they had on the cars. Yeah,
the teal and blue. Yeah,
I know most of the.
So for a while, they were building
Forza
the
drift
cars.
Package.
I know some. I know
all the Forza cars.
Yeah, the Falcon drift pack. Yes, they would build some
many
cars.
Variants of that.
Yeah. I like the Corvette. That Corvette is great.
That's Matt Fields' Corvette, yeah.
That's Matt Fields' vet, yeah.
I remember you talking about him too.
That Matt Fields' vet's pretty fucking sick. I'm not gonna lie, the dude builds a nice fucking car.
Out of all the cars in when you're doing drift stuff in Forza, like out of all the Formula drift cars, that was the car that I liked the best.
It's pretty fucking dank. Corvette's an amazing drift chassis, and people are figuring it out, which sucks because they ruin everything. But
dude, did you guys hear Sabir's Corvette start after 3 months of not starting it?
Yeah, sounded good.
The chop is so real.
I didn't know it was in fucking San Jose. So yeah, here's the power plant in Fields' car, or here's just kind of a walk around of his car. Oh, this is from today. Yeah, there you go. So this is
Holy shit.
LS7 with a Pro Charger. I think it makes 900 horsepower this season.
Dude, that thing is chunky.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It's an interesting chassis because the chassis is fiberglass and aluminum, right? So when you're trying to put a roll cage and shit and stuff, a lot of carbon Kevlar too. He gets all of his body panels from this company HGK out of Latvia, and apparently
legit. That looks like a goddamn 918 or 918 Courier GT almost from the back with the suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they? I would assume they take that seat out. Or do they have ride-alongs?
They'll do a lot of ride-alongs. They'll do a lot of tandems.
They'll do ride-alongs.
Gotta pay bills, homie. Gotta pay the bills.
I mean, yeah, they'll do exhibitions.
Oh god, yeah, the fucking ride-alongs that they do on media days and shit like that. So before the events, they have like media day and people who donors and fucking the mayor of Long Beach, all that bullshit.
You gotta kiss the
they
kids.
They come
and
do ride-alongs. Yeah. So like I had heard one day, one of the drivers was like, "Oh yeah, like they buy tickets for this. They come on like Wednesday and Tuesday and Thursday and do ride-alongs." It's like it's like $50 or like that's how like I forgot what it was. It was like per ride along though.
Dude,
Like,
it's a
wow.
great
And I was like, how
hustle.
many
Even
laps? And he was like, we just do 1 lap. But it goes to like it doesn't go to the team or anything. You just pay Formula D. Like Formula D sells the ride along tickets.
Yeah. I'm sure Formula D funds
So, like,
some sort of their projects that they have to a point, or
Well,
it goes
not
to pay
the-
for advertisement.
well, not this. So
Well, they're doing a demo at God, what is that race this year?
the one in Long Beach,
Something 400.
Gambler
No, they're
400.
doing another. Yeah, I think
It's the
so.
off-road one. I don't. Is it the Gambler? The Gambler's off-road.
Yeah, I
one.
think so.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, it's the sport is very interesting because of the fact that there is no spec chassis or anything like that, right? There's specifications you have to build the chassis to,
Right.
but there's no spec chassis, right? There's no like, this is your drift car, build it. It's do whatever the fuck you want. So you see really interesting solutions to problems, and you see really like just ingenious ways to kind of do things, and you'll see people push things and do things that are outside of the rule book before anybody caught. Kind of going back to like Mad Mike Woodette a couple of years ago, he was running in Formula Drift with 1,000 horsepower 4-rotor turbocharged Miata, and he was only allowed to run so big of a tire based on the weight of the vehicle and how much power it made and all this shit. So he was running these weird rotiform bead look wheels, like a fake beadlock in the back, because what will happen, he was debeating tires, like they would fly off the rim because the car is making so much power, it's spinning the rim inside of the wheel, and then it just fucking flies off, right? So he was running this flange as a non-mechanical way to try to keep the tire from debeating, and it was still such a problem that they literally started gluing the tires to the bead flange of the wheel, trying to keep them from coming loose, and you can't do that. So he got caught up for that, and there was a bunch of controversy around it. And then they weighed his car, and it was like 200 pounds too light, and like all other types of shit, right? So like, it was a whole thing. Like, and so that's really, I think that's endemic to motorsport in general, right? Is there's a rule book, and you win by finding the holes in the rule book, right?
Correct.
So
the Mint 400 is what they're doing the demo.
The Mint 400. Okay, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's a desert
really
race. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking really cool.
So Dylan Hughes and some other pro drivers have been announced to be doing the demos at the Mint.
That's pretty sick.
This year.
Yeah. But I mean, even at grassroots events, you'll see guys giving out ride-alongs like $5-10 or whatever. You sign a waiver.
Yeah.
And for those guys, it's fucking genius. Yeah, no, but for real, when you think about it, it's genius, right? It's like, I'm already here, especially if it's an event where like as a driver, you're just trying to get a bunch of seat time and you're like, I just want to run over and over again. If somebody's willing to pay me $10 to sit shotgun while I do it anyway, do some shit I wasn't going to do anyway. Yeah, to your point, you're paying for my tires a little bit or paying for my gas, or at least offsetting some of the cost of me doing this, because it's not cheap, you know what I mean? Like anything else. But yeah, but going into like the drama of the sport, right? What is the big thing? One of the major things is you still do, there's fewer of them than there used to be. And Adam LZ is a really interesting addition to the conversation. So we'll finally pivot to that. But you have privateers, you have guys that own their cars and they build them, and they have sponsors that pay for like 5% of shit, and they'll have like a tire sponsor, and that's it. Right. Yeah. And then you have the big factory back guys like Toyota has, if you see a Supra or the Corolla, right? Those are Toyota sponsored cars. Toyota's putting money into those projects. Same thing
Frederick
with
Osbo and Ryan Turk.
Yeah, Frederick Osbo, Ryan Turk.
Examples of sponsored cars, and then like Michael Esso was a privateer,
and he was in the sport for years in the same exact car, and he was still competitive. Retired, yeah, just this year, because I mean he's 40, his kid's like 10, and he's like, I got to step back. Like, I'm not winning any championships. I can't afford to build a new car. These cars are too crazy these days, and he's like, there's just no spot for guys like me. And that's kind of like the biggest barrier to entry into pro is if you look at a pro spec car. A pro spec car is like a car that Jamal and I could reasonably build and drive. 600 horsepower, 700 horsepower, two fucking cage, whatever, full wise fab, all that good shit, all off the shelf parts or whatever. But a car that doesn't need a full race team to support it, right? So nothing's really pushing the envelope in any kind of direction, because a lot of those guys are privateers. You can win a pro license, there's certain of like I think Lone Star Drift. If you win the pro spec,
Lone Star.
you don't
what
even
do you
have to
guys have
win.
in NorCal? Golden Gate Drift in NorCal.
But like they'll have licensing events where it's like if you win this event, you get a pro license. You don't need to win the whole championship. You win this event, you get a pro license. You get 5 Gs and a pro license.
I think if you the top 5 or the top 3 in points at the end of the year, you get a license.
Yeah. So it's like they do give you a lot of avenues to get there, but what people find out is just because I have the license doesn't mean I can it's money. These are 6-figure cars now. Once you get to pro level, they're $100,000 race cars. They're full on fucking race cars, right? So
I know we're not gonna talk about Porsche, but who was the actor that
Patrick Dempsey?
Yes, he figured that shit out fucking real quick with Porsche.
Oh, dude, he backed off so quick.
Who did the same thing, qualified for racing and like club sport and all this stuff, and bought a car and figured out that it's like $30 million a year to like maintain that shit.
He owned
a
a
whole
team.
team.
He
Yeah,
had
he got a whole team.
Dempsey
His family is Dempsey Racing. Yeah,
his name is on the 991.2 RSR. It's one of the names on the back.
He don't own that shit no more. He fucking just runs for Porsche.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money to compete at that level. And so finally getting to your point about Adam LZ. Adam LZ built a 6-figure S15 to run in Pro 2 at the time, right? So he brought a gun to a knife fight when he built that car to go run in Pro 2, Pro Spec. It's that same shit, right? And he crushed it. He's a good driver. You can't deny the fact that the dude is a good driver.
Yeah, he's good.
And he had a great car. And then when COVID hit, and what the sport ended up doing was, in order to have a full season, but it was like a shrunk down season because of, there was obviously quarantine and everything else. To run this truncated season, they ran 2 events, 2 weekends in a row at the same track, and they did it 4 times. Right. And so one of the biggest issues about Formula Drift is it's all over the country. And a lot of these guys don't have full race teams. So they're driving themselves on a trailer with their race car all over the country. Dude, fucking Forsberg still does that shit. He drives his own rig, right? Dude's got a Nissan factory team, and he's sponsored by NOS, and he's got a $175,000 race car, and he drives his own rig from event to event. Right. Now, granted, his rig
on
is
the
a
low
lot
side to make every event, from what a driver has told me, on the low side to make every event in the season, if he does good, like no unnecessary breakdowns or anything like that, it's like $75K.
Holy
just to transport your shit from one event to the next. That's not fuel. That's not paying the dudes to work on the car. That's not paying for parts.
No. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Okay. So that's a lot better.
$75K for the year is because you got to pay to get into the event. You got to take your car, fuel. He was like, dude, like when you go across different states, like you got to have like different weigh stations and all this other nonsense. He's like, so like, yeah, you hope you don't have any breakdowns.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Is like that's assuming you
even
don't
like
you
winning,
don't hit
he's like
anything.
sometimes you don't really want to win because if you're a privateer and you're paying for all, especially if you don't have a tire supplier or a tire sponsor and you're paying for tires, maybe you don't really want to win because that's 5 more tires that you got to use, and you got like you didn't expect to do that good in this many events. And it's like, all right, maybe if I just duck up now and take the points, I can just roll on to the next event.
Well, that too, and it's like
car is not broken. Like, let me just get out of here safely with some good points and just.
Yeah, you've now drawn some attention to yourself. Hopefully, you draw a better sponsor for the next season, and then you can try to take it. Yeah. It's just like it's just again, it's like F1. You have your low field teams, your midfield teams, and then you have you guys who are actually trying to go for it. And the midfield teams are happy to get a P5, right? Whereas if you're fucking Red Bull, it's P1 or death, right? Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing in this, which is like you have
closer to NASCAR.
What happened?
I think it's actually closer to NASCAR.
It actually there's an
interesting kind of has the same situation where it's you show up. There's guys who make a living doing that, where they just show up, qualify for events, and then
just run at the back of the pack
because. But no, they just go home because if you qualify, you get paid.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
and
they
yeah,
just take whatever little money they got. It's a couple grand, but it's like, oh, I qualify, and then you just give your spot to a bigger pro who didn't get in, and you're just like, oh yeah, like I'm
well,
out of tires,
there's
I'm out of gas, I'm going home and take that $3,000 you guys gave me and bounce. It's like,
well, and
yeah, I run
there's
this track every weekend, like I can hit that qualifying time easily.
I've read stuff about like to your point about shit in NASCAR about like privateer teams in NASCAR. Well, they get like they'll have sponsorship agreements. Like the car has to be on the track for this many laps, right? In order for you
Yeah,
to
they
fulfill your
started
spot.
doing that because
Yeah. So they'll
yeah.
they'll run at the back of the pack for 50 laps and then retire. Right? They'll
Oh no,
never
no,
fin-
that's what I'm saying. These aren't even guys that are sponsored. These are
Right.
dudes like me or you who like lives near
Oh yeah.
Irwindale and has like a little NASCAR that just happens to be like the same model year or whatever, and it's legal. And we do that. We do Irwindale all the time. So like hitting the qualifying time is nothing. So it's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go out here and hit the qualifying time. I'm gonna
Make
get
$1,500 and
number
dip out.
yeah, I got spot
I mean,
47.
there ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna
Nah, I
take
mean it's
exactly.
yeah, it's a I
I
mean
was
there's a
up here
hustle and
anyway.
everything. Yeah, exactly. There's a hustle and anything. But the thing about Adam LZ is so like yeah, he had a pro he had like a quasi pro level car in pro spec, right?
Okay.
And then
Mhm.
COVID rolls around and they're running this truncated season and he makes the decision to say if I'm ever going to make the leap financially speaking, this is the best time to do it because
now's the
I'm
time.
not driving around as much. He's
Right,
already
right,
got
right.
a title. He's already got a tire sponsor. He's got all the other shit, right? Because he's fucking Adam LZ. So he goes into pro, does all right. You know, he does. This is his first season. He bashes the car up a little bit, but he does good enough to where when Vaughn Gittin retires from the sport at the end of that season, it was him and this dude Chelsea Denofa, and they, they're Ford sponsored. He owns RTR, which you can go to a Ford dealership and order a Mustang RTR Spec 5, which is a fucking drift car. Like tube chassis, 800 horsepower,
shit.
no interior, fucking wide-bodied Mustang drift car. Right?
That's
a whole
gangsters. Fuck.
yeah, no, they have VINs on them. They're street legal. It's dope.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they're expensive, but they're if you look
like,
up,
come full interior or no full interior?
I mean, race interior.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd buy one. That's fucking gangster
Yeah.
shit.
So let me
Are
look
you
it up.
kidding me right now? What? I did not know this.
Yeah, so the RTR spec packages, they start at like, there's the design package, which is just like
The design.
the way it looks, and then you have the spec. So let's see, spec 1, spec 2,
Oh, they
get to the
got
top.
Broncos too. What the?
Yeah.
fuck?
So here, let's check this out. So it's 38 G's for the spec 5 package.
So it's a regular Mustang GT plus 38 Gs.
Right, but it's
Dude.
wide bodied. Like, do they have more photos of it? I don't need that. Get out of here.
Stop with the drop down menus. Like,
I know
what
it's
the
so bad,
fuck?
dude.
Go to, can you go to vehicles?
Yeah, this is what I'm. Well, that's where I am right now.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. Look at the back end. There's an arrow. There's an arrow. The right. Yeah, right there. On the picture.
Oh.
Like on
Oh,
the picture.
yeah.
It'll picture. It'll click over.
There's not that
Yeah,
many.
there you go. Oh, okay.
But why does it? This is a
That's
horrible
a good-looking
website.
car, though.
Okay, so yeah, monoblock wheels.
Stage
If
one
you have
vehicles.
mag ride, it gives you the
750 horses.
yeah. So wide body fender flares, all the exterior shit, rear diffuser,
Wheels,
then you-
tires, transmission.
wheels, towers, yeah,
Bullshit.
TPMS, black, all the
Dude,
shit.
it's a dash plaque signed by Vaughn Gittin Jr.
I
What
got that
else could
windshield
you-
banner, dog. I got the windshield banner.
What else could you
Gang.
ask for? But so anyway,
Gang,
they
gang.
bring Adam L.
Pull the
They
big picture
bring
up
what?
on the road. Pull the big picture up on the road.
There is not. It doesn't.
It doesn't
can't-
let him. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
grabbing. It's just grabbing the door handle.
Okay. Okay.
Here, let me. I'll
RTX.
I'll find it. No, it's
I got
RTR.
you. I got you. I got you.
RTR. I can't bring it up if you do it.
I've got it right here. I've got it right here already. I'm looking.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Never
mean
mind.
I can see it, Mike. Stop looking at it for yourself.
So Adam LZ comes to sport, gets this car basically, right?
Yeah, so they sign him on as a pro driver. They bring him on as a RTR driver, right? So he's now the second wheel, and Chelsea Denofa. And Chelsea Denofa is known for being rowdy as fuck. Like the dude just doesn't give a shit. He's just a really
Speaks
aggressive.
his mind.
No, he's when he drives, he's very violent, and
Okay,
it's
okay.
really entertaining to watch. And I'll bring up the video of him driving so you can see what I'm talking about. But he's just a little bit of a loose cannon in terms of like how hard he'll push, to the point where like there's videos of him and Vaughn running next to each other right before Vaughn had retired.
Right.
And when those two would go door to door, they didn't give a fuck. Like they were going after each other, even though they were teammates. They were like hitting it. And so there's videos of like Chelsea
Like, bitch,
literally
hit me.
Well, no, he would like, dude, he like drove his car up onto Vaughn's car. They got so close. I'm talking about Chelsea Denofa and Vaughn getting Jamal before Vaughn left the sport. Yeah. So Chelsea would just like come up behind this motherfucker and overcook it, which he does all the time, and he just run right over fucking Vaughn Jr. or whatever. So they brought Adam LZ in.
Vaughn's done that to a few people.
Yeah, I mean, it's those cars, those Mustangs, and I don't know if they still do it, but the way that they had the suspension set up is that mid drift they would 3-wheel. So they were like sprint cars.
Yeah.
They would lift the inside wheel up. So they're literally drifting at like 80 miles an hour on 3 wheels. One wheel steering, the other one's fucking all the way up in the ground, up in the air. The rears squat the fuck down, and they're just like motoring around. It's ridiculous to watch, honestly.
So these prices have to be like you're already providing the car. I'm assuming.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
For the spec cars, yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's
Okay.
plus the cost of the car. It's just like
That's actually not that bad.
it's not that bad. No, it's just
Yeah,
like
TLM.
okay, here, watch, check this shit out. Wait till it restarts.
Oh shit. RX-7. He picked that fucking wheel up. And
Yeah,
who's driving this?
This is Chelsea Denofa.
Okay.
So Chelsea Denofa was a privateer forever.
God damn, he is fucking
He's aggressive
shit
as
up.
yeah, he's aggressive as fuck, dog.
Holy fuck.
That's why he's fun to watch. He's just really aggressive. But also his wife is also named Chelsea, so it's just really funny.
Oh,
Chelsea and Chelsea?
Chelsea, yeah.
The 2 C's.
Yeah, so look at this shit. Just pitching. And they'll just roll around like that. Anyway, so Adam LZ goes in there. He's doing that thing. He did 2 seasons, Jay? 1 or 2 seasons with them? I can't remember. No, it was just 1. It was just last season, huh? In the
He's
RTR.
still on their website. He's on RTR's website still.
Yeah. So he does that, and then this season, this is the shit. This season, RTR puts out a press release. Well, Adam LZ puts out a press release like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he did a YouTube video about it too, and I never bothered to watch it because I just wasn't that interested, to be honest. But he's like, I'm stepping away from Formula Drift, and this is the reason why, and blah, blah, blah. And it's probably because he's got a bunch of his own shit going on, and Formula D is really fucking competitive or whatever. And then RTR just dropped this last month, and it's just new driver announcement 2023, right? And everybody's like, who the fuck's he gonna be? Blah, 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 blah. And then come to find out, it's this motherfucker. For those watching at home, it's very ominous. And then there's a very dashing Irishman. That is James Dean. Dene. James Dean is one of the most dominant drivers in the history of Formula Drift and drifting worldwide, period. The dude does not make mistakes. And he won 3 titles in 5 years, 3 championships in 5 years or some fucking stupid shit like that. Like he was.
And he drives for RTR.
So he left the sport a couple years ago because he was just cleaning up. Like he didn't say as much, but he was like, I've done everything I need to do here. And that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
He was doing like clutch kickers and he was doing other shit. And he's got he's got a crazy collection of vehicles all over the world. He's got an SR20 powered FD. He's got a V8 Eurofighter, the BMW, the Kevlar BMW Eurofighter, like spec cars from HGK. He's got one of those. It's like a 900 horsepower LS7. That's fucking sick.
Holy fuck.
He was drifting a twin turbo V8 S14 like 1 billion years ago, which that car is still around. Yeah, that car is still floating around somewhere. Yeah. And now he comes back and he's driving for RTR. So this is, in my opinion, Chelsea hasn't won a championship ever. Did you know?
He shows in the video.
Yeah, Chelsea's never won one. He's won some events. He's podium, but he's never like won an event, right? Or won a championship. And when you're Von Gittin Jr., and he's won 3 championships, right? Has a whole race team, has a whole company that he built on the
Yeah,
back
he's
of
on
his.
third.
Yeah. So he has a whole company he's built on the back of winning championships in Formula Drift and selling spec chassis and doing all this shit. And now, granted, he's he does Broncos and Mustang Mach-E's or basically anything Ford, really. It's like we need to get championships, right? I have to keep the brand up. So he brings literally like the dude with the biggest dick on the field. It's ridiculous. So
It's the smartest move in the world.
it was him and this dude, Peter Wycheck, the last time that James Dean competed in the sport. And they raced for a company called Worthhouse, which is a Polish company, I think. And they had the closest you'll see to like spec cars in the sport. They had 2 S15s. They were built almost exactly the same. They were both 2J powered. They both made like 1,000 horsepower.
They were the exact same car. They just had different color roofs. One was blue, one was red.
And one was right-hand drive, and one was left-hand drive.
Yeah.
Peter Wycheck's was left-hand drive. James Dean was right-hand drive. But those two were like, they're just, I gotta find it. Watching those guys drift is so much different than watching like the American drifters because they're just so much fucking cleaner. Like they're so, for lack of a better term, they're surgical with this shit, Jake. So
I mean, America's always the last fucking one to show up to the fucking party. So let's be honest about it.
yeah. So here's his. All right. So here's this. Check this.
Big screen, big screen. God damn, he is close to that fucking guardrail.
I know. I need to find.
Holy shit!
Let me find one of like him actually. I want to find one of like a tandem.
That's nuts.
Is this him? Yeah. So this is him in the Mustang first time. That's LZ's old car, by the way.
Yeah.
So literally his old shit.
Hurt commented American Machine Dean.
Oh, here's the Eurofighter. So you see what I'm saying about 90 degrees?
At 90 degrees and then immediate chuck it back the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for another 90 degrees. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
All fucking balls. And then let me see if there's an old video up here of him in. Oh, this is a good one. So Dean's in the green S14. Look at this.
And who's he racing against?
Just some fucking dude in Europe.
Okay. Nobody special.
Some dude that can't keep up.
Like, you can tell Dean's backing off the car
Oh yeah.
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 because the car settles, unsettles, settles, unsettles.
Yeah,
like,
he's on and off. And you see they have a front brake light so they can see. They do that because like,
They don't want you brake checking the person behind.
well, and the thing is that like Chris Forsberg used to get accused of doing that shit all the time, of like brake checking people like on the straights where you're like mid transition going sideways and you'd like lock it up going into initiation. It just sets the fucking chase driver, fucks them all up, gets them unsettled, and then he would like go and do his thing because he had enough power to like get
Takes
the wheel
it
speed
back,
back.
yeah. Yeah.
So because of that, they started putting front brake lights in and the windshield, and then that wasn't enough because they realized that the cars were making so much smoke that you could lock the rears, not hit the front brake, still scrub speed, but you wouldn't be able to tell. So then they started making it to where every wheel has to have a different colored spoke. That's like, it has to be a contrasting color so they can see how fast the wheel's rotating on slow-mo. So they can see if you lost wheel speed. Yeah, because this is because everything's happening so fast, dog. Because these rounds are 30 seconds a pop, right? They're like this.
Yeah.
So everything's happening so fast, you can cheat and nobody will catch it
Right.
for a long time. So that they've tried to like minimize that shit as much as possible.
I guess I didn't realize that, but that's probably why I bring like Adam LZ up so much, is because like I kind of fell in love with his channel for the fact that like that's what he was into, and like I've learned more drift things from that, and like his Drift HQ and like all the cars he builds and all of that stuff. Like I didn't realize how much the sports gain popularity. I just don't think it goes mainstream as much as like a NASCAR or a Formula One or.
Well, it's only 20 years old.
But you think about it, like you think about it, today's culture and kids How many of them are into NASCAR or Formula One versus drifting?
So I'll put it to you like this: how long was skateboarding a thing before?
What do you mean? It's like before
Still a
what?
thing.
Before it started to be
before it blew up. 30
Tony
years.
Hawk's Pro Skater.
Right.
Before it becomes mainstream, right? Before culture gets a hold of it and it blows up from there, right?
Yeah,
But like,
right, exactly. And I think that now it's starting to happen, and you see it because it's like, what does every new car do in every fucking advertisement? It's sliding across somewhere. Every fucking Mopar video, every BMW video, hell, Acura's.
Yeah. The GR86 that they offer as a track car and they don't warranty.
They advertise track fucking features for that car. Like you can go to the track and drift it. Like,
I mean, we're putting drift modes in McLarens and all types of other shit, right? So like it is.
I'm pretty sure decline the warranty.
Yeah.
Fact.
But yeah, we offer it as a track car and then we decline the warranty when it's used on the track.
One, like they've tried to put it on TV, so like the Speed channel. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Speed used to air Formula Drift. They had an NBC Sports contract for a couple of seasons, but it just didn't. This was 8 years ago. It was big for the people that were in it. They would sell out events, but it was.
I mean, you can watch it on YouTube. You watch YouTube Live.
Listen, yet another.
Formula D just streams it on YouTube
with some success most of the time. There's things about the sport that
sarcasm or not.
It is. There's the thing about Formula Drift is it's still very clearly in some ways a racing series put together by two dudes in a basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the crack show here and there, right? Like this live streams aren't always super great. The judgings can be whatever, you know, there's issues with events, there's issues with the way they decide to do things and all that kinds of stuff. And it has improved and streamlined over the years, but you know, it is like somehow the preeminent professional drifting championship worldwide now. Right. D1GP has a whole different way of scoring. They have something called a drift box, which is literally telemetry. They judge off telemetry now. But it's actually more boring to watch because they don't give a shit about proximity. So the dudes just run in the middle of the road. Right. So they're not
it's all about like the telemetry of like the angles of your car and stuff.
Relative to the car you're chasing or leading. Yeah. So it's just not as like the guys that are it becomes this weird situation where
is D1GP still around?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Because I feel like everybody just drives in Formula D Japan now.
Oh, it might be. That's a good point. It might just be Formula D Japan, but I know Formula D Japan does the same shit. No, they use the drift box too, right?
No, they judge like they do over here.
Oh no, yeah.
The driving style is a little different.
I just think
D1GP
it's crazy.
is still
D1 Grand Prix.
Like how you guys talk about like drifting, and like I didn't learn about drifting until honestly probably 10-15 years ago.
You can say Fast and the Furious.
No, like no. Fuck Fast and the Furious. I knew what drifting was, but like to show like what you can do with that versus usually when you're drifting, usually when you're a normal car enthusiast, you're out of control, you're trying to correct it, save it, or whatever. You're trying to purposely do that and then control it at the same time. Like it's just crazy to watch where something has started and become like a backdoor thing, like the old Japanese videos and like where it all came from, Toge and all that stuff. To where
said backdoor
mission videos and all that stuff.
Almost it. No, but like where it's at now, like
old option videos,
VH1 videos.
Yeah, no, it's old option videos, dude. The old I would behoove if you can get your hands on them, or they're probably on the internet. But
I still have some.
Do you go watch the old option videos?
Bro, just ask Lenny. I'm sure he can get some on.
But like they used to like literally show you like different ways to initiate, because like if you ask like
called the Drift Bible, which pretty much taught you how to drift.
It did, and what's cool about that one actually that I always appreciated is it taught every other way to initiate a drift and then handbrake drift, right? Whereas what you'll see is like a lot of folks or a lot of dudes get into drifting and like put a hydro on it, which a hydro is super useful. It's a great tool for correcting angle, maintaining angle, initiating in tough situations, initiating hairpins, scrubbing a ton of speed at once, like all types of shit, right? But at the same time, there is a large population of drifters that think that hydros are for bitches, and using your handbrake to initiate is a fucking pussy move, right? Especially old 86
Old
dudes,
ancient. Yeah.
because the car doesn't have enough power to
Correct.
to get back on top of the tire when you do this,
It's a
right?
Clutch kick, right?
Yeah.
You can clutch kick, or you just fucking swing the shit out of that motherfucker. So hold the clutch, lock it over, then kick it, get it to break loose. But that's just, you're beating the shit out of your drivetrain or whatever. But that's the sport. But even in pros,
Yeah, I used to do ride-alongs with guys back in the day, like when drifting first came out here, and I was going to like little grassroots events and doing ride-alongs with people, and they're like I said, the stock 86 Corollas and shit, and they would just clutch kick that car around the whole fucking course, man. It's just like the whole time, it's like bang, 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 bang.
You hear that poor drivetrain just screaming for help, bro.
Oh,
I put 18 clutches in this car.
No, it's not even, this is the thing about clutch kicking that people don't understand.
You don't burn the clutch out of that
No,
bitch.
you bust the input shaft. You don't fucking burn the clutch.
You don't burn the clutch. It's
You
just a
bust the
quick
transmission.
fucking snap.
Yeah. No, it's your transmission is screaming every time, especially if you're at super high RPM, especially if you're in a high horsepower car. Whew. Anyway, Jamal's trying to talk. I'll shut up.
So my first ride along, I was riding. I'm not gonna say his name; it's not that important. But I was riding with this guy. He had an 86 Corolla, and we're chasing a guy in a Skyline. Your Skyline, just a black one.
You mean his
GTS? Yeah, his Maxima.
Right.
SER.
And he's got I think he had like 600 horsepower, 600 or 700 horsepower. And the guy I'm riding with, so we're chasing this dude, and he is clutch kicking the shit out. Like, we didn't use the brakes at all. Like, if he went wide on the turn, he just fucking drove through it. Like, I can't get up on the brakes. I'm trying to stay like respectably close to this fucking. And then when they switched, I rode with the guy in the Skyline, and the whole time he's driving, he's like, "Fuck, your friend's car is so goddamn slow." He's like, "Tell him to pick a good line." Shit, he's like, he's all over the goddamn place.
It's like, brother, I'm just holding on for dear life.
Feathering it. He's just like, what? Like, just barely feathering the gas.
Let me show you what the power actually does.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm just gonna pass him on this next open spot." And he's like,
But see, that's the funny thing about drifting, right? Is like, if you go to a grassroots drifting event, right, and then you go to a Formula D event, it is not even close to the same sport, because the grassroots guys are going around corners at 35, 40, 45 miles an hour. The guy who's cooking it at 60, 65, 70 is really fucking killing it. Dude, I just went to Fuel Fest not too long ago, and it was like super fast initiation, 25 miles an hour.
I just went to was it last week?
Was it Black
Dude's Drift?
Yeah.
God, when I got in my car, I was like walking up to the track. I was like, who? Or like, it was some dudes out there
cooking.
I was like, all right, somebody brought his spec car. There's a couple of dudes out there boogieing.
Yeah.
Like initiating at the so you've played what's that the drift video game on your phone?
CSR.
The cartoony looking one.
Oh, FR Legends, yeah.
Yeah. So you remember the Grange track on there?
Yeah.
These dudes were initiating at that first house on the straightaway.
What the fuck?
Like, remember how far back that house is? Yes. Yeah. They were flicking at the house and then just like drag e-brake like 50 feet down, and then just as soon as the corner comes, just get back in and just fly in.
Yeah, that's the thing about
crazy. There was some cool cars out there too.
I'm interested to hear more about that actually, because I think that's. I'm a fucking dirty lefty. I'm all about inclusion, and I think doing something like that is fucking cool, right? Because black dudes are criminally unrepresented in motorsport, point blank, period. Right? Yeah. So
it was really nice to go to an event where it's just like everybody there is like it was like literally like 4 or 5 white people. They like 4 or 5 Mexicans there.
Yeah, it's a fucking cookout, bro, and everybody's just going
50-60 black dudes,
yeah.
I mean, I think the
Carlos and Camaros and shit. I was like, yeah.
But I think that's like
Talking
Bunch
about
of G bodies in the fucking drift
No,
no joints. Everybody smoking backwoods. I was like, fuck yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
I
there's a
think
lot
the
of getting
only-
high
My
and
drifting
drifting. By
is-
the way, there's a lot of getting high and drifting. It's
There's a
wild.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the only black dude in Formula One, if you watch Drive to Survive, it's the Red Bull pit crew guy with the dreads, and he is the only one in the entire show.
Yeah, because Lewis
back and watch
Hamilton
it.
is not a black dude.
No, he's not. No.
I'm chopping him. He's not.
Sorry, I forgot
but I
about him. He
think-
didn't do
I
well
think
last
that-
year.
But I
Dude,
think that
the
goes to
winningest
Chris.
fucking driver in the history of Formula One. I forgot about.
Yeah.
If it was Michael Schumacher, you wouldn't have forgot. That's
Yeah,
that's
bitch.
subliminal
I mean,
racism right there. You
Right.
racist
That guy's a
motherfucker.
dick, though. That guy's a dick.
Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's not a dick. Lewis Hamilton's.
No, Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher.
Oh, yeah,
Lewis
but-
Hamilton's great. I like
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton.
I think that there's
But
a lot of. I think there's a lot of parallels between Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. They don't take shit. They know how fucking good they are, and they're not afraid to say it.
Well,
They're
yeah,
also-
but
you know, they're pretty
Lewis
gracious.
Hamilton's not aggressive and dangerous. Like Max Verstappen is more similar to Michael Schumacher as a
In
driver.
driving style.
Yeah.
Yeah, Styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, if there's not space, he's gonna let you have your fucking space. You're never gonna
Yeah, he doesn't want to crash
because
the car.
Lewis hit
He doesn't want to
you.
crash the car because if he crashes the car, he's
Yeah.
out of the race. No, he's just
Yeah.
he's methodical.
He's
He's
smart about that shit.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
you know he knows that he's fast enough to where if I don't get it this second, if I don't crash the
I'm
car,
right there.
I have
I'm right
another
there.
opportunity the
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
corner, right? So
Dude,
like I'm gonna.
You guys see Alonso pass him yesterday?
I didn't.
Yes.
I'm sure he
I
fucking
saw a
loved
meme.
that.
Dude,
I saw a meme.
it was a good
That
move.
was fun,
It-
It was a good move.
Dude, I don't know what Toto and the bros are doing on those cars the last couple seasons, but they look like giant pieces of shit.
Dude,
Yeah,
oh my god, they fucked up.
they fucked up. There was
They
porpoising
fucked
this way. There's like, oh, we got a black driver. Better make it a fucking lowrider, right, or some
was-
shit.
You
It was
got
fucking-
hydraulics? You got hydraulics and dates?
Shit was
Look at it.
wild, bro. Like I'm
When
watching,
he
like I
started
watched.
grabbing his back. Oh, dude. there was
So I
about to be
watched
some
this.
shit
I
going
watched the
down.
first couple races of 2022, and then I watched Drive to Survive. And yeah, when he's getting out of the car and he's like holding his back, and I'm like, dog,
It's like this is not good.
you're gonna.
No.
And he was all supportive of Mercedes. He had no issue. I mean,
He's-
from what
dude-
Drive to Survive makes it. But
No,
I mean,
listen,
he
he-
supports the brand. He supports the company.
Bro, listen. When you're Lewis Hamilton, you have nothing to prove anymore,
no.
Oh no.
right? And so even
no.
when your
Is he-
teammate
he-
is
he
winning,
won
it's
7 in a row?
yeah,
Is it 7?
I thought it was
Eight?
Yeah.
Is it 8?
think
they
Yeah,
won
yeah,
eight
like-
straight. They won 8 straight drivers championships, 8 straight constructions championships.
The only person
Yes.
you have left to pass in the all-time history of winning championships is Will Chamberlain. You've already passed Michael Jordan. You've already passed Tom Brady. You've already passed any ever. Let's be honest. Like in any
Listen,
sport,
he still hasn't bed more women than Wilt Chamberlain. I'll put fucking good
I'll
money
give
on
you
that.
that.
shit.
Nobody
Right.
ever will. Nobody ever will. But like I will give you
My man's in
like
4 figures and
in
shit.
his sport, he is Mount Everest right now, like or Mount Rushmore or whatever. Right? You cannot top him at this.
Mount
period of
Rushmore is the
point.
one with the presidents on it. I don't think that applies to a British black dude, but that's fine.
I was trying to make it so it's not so
I see
racist.
what
God
you I
damn
know
it.
what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
But like
Yeah,
he's the peak.
the
Michael
dude.
Jordan's the
Yeah,
peak. Tom
he's the
Brady's
dude.
the
Yeah,
peak.
you have
Tiger
nothing to
Woods
prove.
is the peak in golf,
So
right?
okay, so James Dean coming back to FD
Same thing.
is like Lewis
Same thing.
Hamilton leaving and going doing cup racing. They'd be like, I'm gonna come back to F1. It's like, oh shit, he coming. You know what I'm saying?
So you're talking about that 18 months Michael Jordan went and played baseball
Oh, and they
because he
came back
wanted
and won
to,
3
then
straight.
came back-
Yeah,
yeah.
Same shit.
Same
Exact
thing.
same
Same
shit.
thing. Same fucking thing.
But imagine Michael Jordan just went and dominated playing basketball in other countries and then came back. Because that's basically what it was. Because he's like, oh, I'm just gonna literally destroy everyone on every fucking.
I'm gonna be Euro.
You don't think I'm good? Let me go.
Okay,
prove
I'm
it.
back to the NBA.
He's
I'll
like,
be right back.
he's like, let me go win the Street Fighter fucking world championship. And then I'm just gonna come back and
I
do
don't
this
care
shit
who
again.
it is. Bring it. I'm
I
bringing
think
it.
it's because I think his lady is American. I think that's or one of his ex lady was. I don't remember, but I'm just really
Okay.
excited to see that dude drive again.
So we're almost fucking 2 hours in this thing, but
Yeah.
we talked about this at kind of the chat prior to your favorite car or whatever you wanted to drive as a drift car. And I sent something to the Instagram for the RevMatch, and Jimmy Oates goes to Dubai and sees a car collection where literally every single fucking car is a drift car. there is a Bentley, there is an Aston Martin, there is a Honda Civic, there is S15s, S14s, Camaros, and everything has a fucking LS in it, bro. Like, no joke, it is gangster as shit.
Yeah,
just
so there was a long period of time where it was literally just everybody was running a boosted LS in Formula Drift. Yep. Because like the whole fucking sport got the memo at the same time that like it was easy, right? They make a ton of power, they're cheap, they're reliable, parts are available. Wherever fucking event you're at, if you blow your LS, you can get them. You can get parts for it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, get it from Walmart. It's cheaper.
No, legit.
God, who was that? Conrad Grunwald back in the day when he was running the Vet.
The Barrow.
Way back. No, he had a Vet too. He was the first guy to drive a Vet. Yeah.
I remember he had the Gen 5 Marrow.
Yeah, but before the Marrow, he had a red Vet, and then it was painted the same as the Hankook tire. It was the Hankook tire Vet, and then they built the Marrow for him.
I remember that, and he sucked.
I remember at one event at Irwindale, he broke something, and then they just pulled in another just stock Vet from the parking lot, like just waved this guy through, took his fucking rear end off, put it on his car, and just left his car like in the Hankook booth.
Used to do that shit all the time.
So then just swap that shit back at the end of the event. I remember I walked back by there and they were putting it back.
Can you play any of that video, or is that like whole monetized bullshit?
I mean, I don't know that matters, but is there a specific thing you wanted me to show? If you can find it, go look through and give me the timestamp.
Bro, it's only 28 minutes.
Go to.
Just give me the timestamp, and I'll show you.
I'm gone.
So actually, this is like a rabbit hole subject because Jamal and I used to like literally sit around, get high, eat pizza, and think about all of the ridiculous drift cars that we wanted to build. And I was like, oh, I'll put a fucking 3-rotor in a Crescent wagon. You know what I'm saying?
If you go to 2356 in that video. So Jimmy Oates goes to Dubai, and then he knows this guy, and literally the dude's entire car collection is built to drift.
Yeah. I've seen this Aston. I've seen this Aston before.
This is the Aston Martin.
Yeah, this thing's dope.
This is a fully built Aston Martin. Like,
yeah, I see what you mean with the front being way wider than the rear.
Dude, right?
Yeah, gives you that pendulum effect.
And like, look at like.
So you can go to max angle and just kind of stand on the gas without.
Yeah, and he's got the whole fucking fan set up in the back and everything. Like
the radiators in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, rear mount.
So
there's multiple reasons they do that. One is obviously weight over the rear end. The second is actually with the radiator in the front, when you're running into smoke, it's just not getting cooled properly, right? So
that makes sense, yeah.
A lot of guys went to the rear mounts because it just helps.
Do you have the volume on for this?
No, but I can.
Because this car sounds just fucking nuts.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's coming through.
You have to go through Discord.
No, like everybody watching can hear the sound.
We know, but you have to have it muted or else we hear you double.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever.
No. Keep going.
And then if you like go forward, I think like a couple extra minutes, like it gets to the Bentley. Dude, the Bentley is fucking ridiculous. The Bentley is at 2605.
What the fuck is this
thing? Did you see that with the ITBs?
Yeah, I did.
His Bentley has ITBs on, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Like this is a fucking $450,000.
How do you even manual swap this? Whoa.
Yep. Listen to that thing.
It's swung around so smooth too.
It's a boat. It's
it's full carbon.
So easy.
Keep in mind, this man has made this Bentley.
Yeah, it's not going to get away from you.
Every panel on there is dry carbon fiber pressed door panels. So like it moves with like you can blow on it and it'll close the door. Like all of his cars are built this way.
Fucking gnarly, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go back and you watch the video, the guy actually talks about this car, and he's in Dubai. And Dubai, like Bentleys over here, like hold their value like motherfucker. Yeah, over there, they're Honda Civics, dude. They sell for $25,000. They get
so much money. They have so much money.
So he bought this car semi-wrecked with no motor, and then like did a whole swap, ITBs, manual gearbox, everything in that car. It's nuts,
crazy. But like, yeah. So like, I don't know, man. For me, like, Like if we're talking like absolute dream drift car, like I'm not even gonna lie to you, at this point, it is like a legit S13 coupe because I just wouldn't drift one now. Like I wouldn't go buy a 240 and turn it into a drift car because the chassis is too fucking expensive. I like would be pissed if I totaled it. You know what I mean? Like if I ran the ass of it into a wall. It's not like I just went and fucked up a $5,000 car like it was back in the day. It's a $30,000 fucking car now. You know what I'm saying? Like unless somebody else is paying for that, I don't want those problems. You know what I mean? Or I don't want to be dealing with trying to get those body panels or any of that shit. Like I'd rather just go get a vet. Like no lie, I'd probably just go get like a C5 or a C6.
You should.
Like a base vet. Who's gonna pay for that shit, dog?
You.
Yeah, no, you got this fucking spare 16 G's lying around I can throw, and then another fucking 8 G's I can throw at that shit.
Ask Mike. Maybe Mike does. Ask Mike.
No. I'm gonna be a Stang boy apparently, and I'm going full in drop top whole 9 yards. I'm gonna be like that guy.
Ew.
Do you understand the dude that I'm gonna be out here in Texas? I'm bald. I got a beard. I'm gonna have a convertible. Jamal, do you understand what's happening here?
Oh my God.
If you show up with nothing less than 22s in that car, I don't want to ever fucking talk to you again.
Roll up in the hood and
Bro.
the all white lamb and the first one to do it like Soldier. I ain't gonna hold you.
You better have 22s, bitch.
I'm not putting
All I gotta
22s
say.
on a drift car. It's not
So
happening.
what?
22s.
I'm putting 22. No, it's gonna be a fucking. I am building that car as inexpensive as possible because I want to drive it. I want to drive it. I don't want to build it. I want to drive it. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to put it on the track, beat the shit out of it, because he's gonna yell at me if I don't.
I'm going to yell at you if you don't because you still have no pictures. of the new
You're not
fucking
giving me a car, motherfucker. You're not giving me a car. He's giving me a car with expectations. So like, I have to
But you have this thing that's free in your pocket. It's called a phone. And
I'm gonna be the first white looking dude to have a car repossessed by a black dude if I don't fucking turn this shit.
And on that note, that's been a podcast.
Nah, hardly. No, we're straight.
Like and subscribe if you want more of that.
More of that fucking ridiculous bullshit. I already know it. Actually, I don't. Jamal, what is your ideal drift chassis? Somebody, Mike's paying.
What?
Because you got a GTR, bitch. That's why.
It works.
Right?
It works.
You know what?
makes
I've always
sense.
wanted to drift something stupid. Like I'm not into the like 90s and the 2000s cars. I've always wanted to do like an old muscle car, like a legit like track monster.
So, like that dude who had the old long body Roadrunner and turned it into a drift car.
Not that long.
Not 19 feet.
I don't want like
you know?
a Riviera or no shit like that.
That bitch would swing though. It would
It's
swing.
like 63 Lincoln Town cars.
It would still swing.
Dude, have you ever tried to
imagine
drift
that?
anything that
A
big?
Lincoln Continental set up as a drift car, a convertible Continental still
Oh
with
my
the suicide
god, that's
doors.
such a bad
Fucking
idea.
full
21
roll.
feet
That's a
long.
great idea.
No,
bad
it's
idea.
not. Suicide doors? No, it's so like,
Full
dude,
cage, convertible, full cage. You've got people in the back seat.
this is a horrible idea already. I don't know what
That's
we're
a
talking
great
about. It's
idea,
not, it's
actually.
not.
That's
It's
not
20
bad.
fucking
Okay.
feet long. Why don't you go drift a Ford Excursion, you fucking psycho? Like, what are you saying? It's like, don't give me any fucking bright ideas. Can you imagine trying to initiate that thing that is literally the polar opposite of Snap? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you got to start that
Yeah.
initiation like 100 feet before the
Fucking
transition.
turn
You
that
have to have
bitch
like an electric motor
time.
just to like spin the diff real quick.
Right?
This is you just holding, waiting,
Wait.
waiting. Wait, all right. Changes directions in 3 to 5
Can you
business days.
imagine like if you're sitting in the back seat,
It's the
you're
longest
sitting in
trip.
the back
It's
seat and
so
somebody
long.
initiates. It's just like such a long rotation.
It's like riding the
Go.
fucking teacups at Disneyland, bro. It's just like
No, that's worse than that shit. That is worse than that shit. How many times do you have to rotate that shit back and forth?
Oh my God.
bro.
Yeah, can you, dude? Like, think about this, Jamal. Think about how long the steering rack would be with like 85 degrees of steering angle and a fucking Lincoln Continental. It's like 7.5 rotations from left to left. Just
Gotta have the big old steering wheel though, like the
For the
Oh,
mechanic.
it has to be the ivory. It's got to be the fucking ivory fucking shit
fuck
as a
yeah.
steering wheel.
Oh shit.
Absolutely.
Cup holders, all that shit.
Oh fuck.
Hell yes. Hell
I
yes.
can't breathe.
Don't spill no yak.
Nah, bro, I'm gonna be like Marshawn. I'll be drinking Patrenacy while I'm fucking swinging. Like, did you see that interview? He's like sitting around. Marshawn's doing Marshawn shit, right? Spitting hood knowledge or whatever. He's like, you know, I'll be chilling in my home, dog, with my Patrenacy and shit, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps trying to go on, and his boy, no, his boy goes, hold the fuck up. Patrenacy?
Yeah.
Patrenacy? What the fuck is that?
What the fuck is Patrenacy?
Yeah. He goes, he's like, it's Patron and Hennessy. And he goes, you can't mix light and dark. He goes, it ain't light, it's tequila.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, that's like Marshawn-isms 101. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
That man is a goddamn national treasure, dude. Like,
oh man.
Fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good point, Jay. I mean, I think if I had like spare money to build like a secondary car, I'd want a party car.
Mm-hmm.
I want a drift taxi. I want to be able to take the homies around. You know what I mean? So like either like a GS would be tight because those are always great for shit like that, or like hell, like there was a dude who drifted a Chevy SS in Australia, the Holden Commodore in Australia, right? Like my old one, that'd be tight. Any kind of any kind of big 4-door big body would be tight. Like you can make them really snappy depending on the right chassis and some of those like Crown, did you say Crown Vic?
Yeah.
This motherfucker. The fuck? Crown Vic? Why don't you just go drift a Ford LTD so you can drift a Mustang but bigger? Like, you know?
It's the exact same chassis, just 2 more doors.
Yeah. I mean, like Crown Vic's be kind of dope. Or like, what was that dude? The dude with the Lincoln Mark 8. You remember that?
Yep.
There's a dude. See, remember the Lincoln Mark 8, like 2001, super long 2-door coupe? There's a guy who decided, I'm going to make it a fucking drift car. And he swapped a Mustang 5-speed transmission into it. And now he drifts.
That was it.
Yeah, that's really it. He just put an angle kit on it.
Because everything else is already Mustang under.
That's a really interesting thing. That's the really interesting thing about any Ford product from like 76 to like SN95 days, basically, right? So like 2004. Most of those cars have Mustang underpinnings or can bolt up Mustang underpinnings. Like putting putting Mustang
like turning an SN into a Fox body, like turning a Fox body into an SN95 is
not hard.
You just take this rear end, bolt it in here, take these hubs off, put the 5 lugs on, like everything just unbolts and bolts back out.
Well, it's like my biggest thing with Mustangs, and even like 4th gen Maros as drift cars, is the solid rear axles. I'm just not personally a fan of them. I completely understand that you can make them work and they work absolutely fine. And, you know, they still will have like random wheel hop issues and shit like that. But like for the most part, you're totally fine without running IRS. I just like the adjustability of independent rear suspension. I understand that structurally it can have its issues and all that other shit. It's just my personal thing is I just like IRS, right? But it's like the big thing forever with SN95s is like, oh, you can do the Cobra swap because the Terminators had independent rear suspension. It is a huge fucking bitch. Right. And anybody tells you that it isn't is fucking lying to you. It is not.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible thing to do. It's fucking horrible. That's why nobody does it.
Right. It's just too expensive. But apparently swapping the rear subframe from a newer Mustang, like an S550, is way easier. So now you'll see dudes with SN95s, which they stopped making in 2004, right? Dropping a rear end that's 15 years newer. And it's still not just, it doesn't bolt up, but like, it's pretty fucking close.
I think they just do it because it's beefier. Because even if you got a Terminator IRS, they're only rated to 500 horsepower. So to get one, if I get one off of eBay,
it's expensive.
You're looking at $2 or $3 grand for this whole swap.
For the Terminator
is rated for 500. Yeah, because the Terminator like dudes aren't selling those for cheap. Like you're better off going to like some drag racer guys and trying to swap your solid rear axle. Like, hey, I'll give you my 8.8 if you got an IRS.
Right.
Because if you're just looking to buy one, eBay, they're like $1,000.
Yeah, no, they're expensive, but you can go pick like an S550 subframe with the diff in it, which has perfect gearing for those old mod engines and is a more stout diff than the Termi diff with stouter axles than Termi axles. And you can get it for like 800, anywhere from like 450 to $800 out of a junkyard.
Yeah.
Any Mustang GT from like S550 on. So that's like, might be something I would do down the road, but I just want to drive the fucking car. But what about you, Timmy? Now with all of your new burgeoning drift knowledge.
I mean, I've never thought about it. I've always wanted. I used to follow this one guy. I don't know who he was. I can't remember, but he had a 180SX, and I think a 180SX is like one of the cleanest cars. If you have like a whole like front lip and rear lip kit on it, and I
You're
always
talking
wanted
to
an
hatch,
RB.
right?
Yeah, 180SX hatch. And I always wanted an RB. Like V8s are great, but I think that the Nissan should have a Nissan motor. So I wanted a Skyline motor in there. And that would
So you
probably
want a
be it.
240 with a Skyline motor? That's what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, but I want it to look like a
Because a
180.
180 is just a 240 it's just a 240 with a
CA18.
CA18.
Yeah.
With a what?
So the engine we never.
CA18.
So it's a 1.8
that's
liter turbo.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I figured it's a S13, right?
Yeah. So the way that 240 chassis works is like the number determines it's the displacement, right? So they're 240s in the States because we got the shitty truck engine. We got the 2.4 liter single slammer or the dual cam. They're both garbage.
KA24.
Yeah, they're fucking trash. Literally, and I'm not exaggerating, it is 2023. The car has been out since the 90s. We have just now really figured out how to reliably turbo that engine now.
Yeah, I'm just seeing guys that like had LS swap 240s and all that are like, well, yeah, like now that we know the KA, like I went and picked up a KA to swap back in it because I want to go like 4-cylinder again. It's like, what?
Yeah. But we're 40 years, almost fucking, holy Christ, almost 40 years down the road from the car being out. We've just now learned how to reliably turbo the KA that came in. Because you guys have been turboing those things forever, but it was literally a junkyard LS situation of I'm going to boost it with an E-Boy turbo. When it blows up, I'm just going to go buy another one for $200 and put it in and do the fucking same shit over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, who cares? For $200, I'm not going to rebuild
They're shit engines. They're like nobody cares about them at all because they're literally boat anchors, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I wanted the 180SX. The guy I followed was from, I think it was a Japan person. He had a black 180SX.
Also known as a Japanese person.
What?
Not a Japan person.
He's a Japan person.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
God, we're canceled.
He wasn't actually.
Timmy's innocent.
He wasn't actually an Asian person. Like, he was just
so
somebody that lived in Japan.
So a man who lived in Japan.
It's not the point. Who cares? I'm
Anyway,
the internet never forgets, Timmy.
So you want that 180SX because of
from
the
a Japan person.
We got it.
No, listen. I would love. Listen, I would love.
Asian.
Not necessarily an Asian person, but a Japan person of undetermined genealogy.
I mean, I said person from Japan.
No, I think no.
She said he wasn't Asian.
He's not. He lives in fucking Japan.
Is it
from Japan or does he live in Japan? Because those aren't the same thing.
Is it
Are you telling me that
or?
A non-Asian person can't be born in Japan?
I'm asking because the next question afterwards is based off of whatever answer you give me right now.
I don't know. He was some random guy with a nice car that I followed that lived in Japan. That is from Japan.
So what did his nationality look like?
Oh,
look like
now he's getting canceled.
What would you say he was?
What are we doing?
Oh my God.
Well, that was the last episode of the RevMatch Podcast.
Jamal's like literally trying to make sure that Timmy's never allowed to have a social media account ever again.
I literally said a person from Japan.
He's like trying to reel it in. He's trying, like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him today. We go get him today. No, Timmy just talking shit. But no, I would love, dude. I would love to drift a 240. But I'm at the point now, like I said, where they're so fucking expensive. I feel like if I bought one, I'd have to just make it clean. That would, you know, like the thing I've always appreciated about Adam LZ is he's got the banana S13 and he drives the shit out of it, and I have never seen him crash it somehow.
Yeah, the light yellow one.
Yeah, he took it to the donut garage when it was like super duper fucking narrow and sketchy, and like sent it and didn't crash it and all. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's fucking cool. But yeah, like a hatch, like the Type X kits on the hatch, I still think are dope. Which was like the Type X was like one of the sicker 2S chassis you could get in Japan or whatever. And it had like the special front bumper and the rear bumper and the wing and all that shit. And I always thought that shit was super cool because it's like, I like all that OEM Japanese shit. I don't think a lot of the aftermarket kits and stuff like the BN Sport stuff, like I know they're super popular, but I just never was really a fan of like the flared out wedge shit on the bottom. They all just look like third gen Camaros to me in my head. I made the joke that the third gen Camaro is just an American S chassis that comes with the BN Sports kit from the factory. Like it's just fucking
kind of true.
Super true. Show me, dude. I'm sure I pissed somebody who spent $4,000 on a body kit off saying that, but
you should have posted that on the BN Sports Instagram page.
Like, where's all the third gen Maros at, dog?
Right. Show me, bro. Show me.
Where's my mullets at? Yeah. Show me your mullets. I think that's an episode. We've been at this for a while, and we're obviously devolving into fucking bullshit. Formula Drift season starts on March 7th. If you've never watched it and you want to know what the fuck is going on,
today is March 7th.
April 7th. Thank you, Timmy.
Good job.
Time is important. Time is a construct of man. It's all linear anyway. What's that line from Tropic Thunder when like they finally pull him out of the like Simple Jack camp and his brain's completely fried and he's like, Doug, you gotta come with me, and he goes, I'm a rooster illusion. That's how I feel right now in my brain. Like my brain's fucking out.
It's rapid.
It's like, it's like, what the fuck? Come on. Anyway, yeah. From the Drift season starts on April 7th. Please check that out. Please like and subscribe. Our guest,
merch.
Buy our fucking merch. Timmy's wearing it. I like how big we did the R on the front, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that. I didn't realize we went that hard in the paint with it, but it does. Timmy can. Oh, let me see that tramp stamp, Mike.
You like that? I'll show it to you again.
Oh yeah, twerk it, Miley. Yeah.
Stand up straight. Looks good. It looks good.
It does look good on the maroon. That actually really does look really. Yeah.
Dude, they're fire. They're super fire.
All right, now let me see your dick. I'm just kidding.
You didn't have the magnifying glass out.
Wow.
All right. It has been real.
You got a computer you can zoom?
This is where Jamal draws the line.
I gotta go.
He's like, I gotta go be literally anywhere else than where Timmy's dick is on the internet.
Became uncomfortable.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We have a guest.
Japan, man.
Our guest.
Yes. We have a guest. We will be promoting another sick car built.
Subaru coming.
This first time we've had a Subaru builder on the.
It's true.
We haven't had a lot of Subi dudes on.
Yeah. Surprising.
I'm actually, and I already have an interesting question that I want to pose in there, and I already posted it in the chat today. But I'm really curious as to how cheap a 22 WRX has to be before you consider buying it, because I found one for 28 grand today.
We're
not having this conversation. We're not having this.
Not right now.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing it right now. But that's ever. On the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z, we're gonna talk about. Anyway, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Go sideways, but safely, or whatever, maybe, or just don't. But just don't crash.
On a track.
Yeah, just don't crash.
Don't
your
be a track though. Go to a track.
Yeah, that's true. I do have to
see your ass out here in the goddamn intersection. I'll call the cops on you.
I'm beating someone's ass.
Yeah, listen.
If you late for my shit because you want to be
right. It's stupid. Yeah. If you're drifting on the street, you're literally one step away from a takeover.
That's what I'm talking about. You pretty much. Yeah.
You're right there. Unless you find a random industrial park in the middle of nowhere, fucking have at it. I really don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like where
Boom.
Timmy does donuts
you
in the
do,
S4. That's fine.
Text me
Like,
that address.
right? Fucking drop me a pin so we can go fuck around.
All right, I'll send you mine. You send me yours.
Outside dog.
And now all of a sudden we're back at dick pics. All right. Anyway, on that bombshell, we will catch you guys in a couple of weeks. Stay safe, drive well, buy our shit, like, subscribe, and smack that notification button. Until next time, peace out.